So thank you and welcome to winter planning. We are already here getting a head start on planning our winter season, which I cannot believe. It's going to be so exciting to start to dive into our winter book as we approach our last few weeks of autumn and begin to plan ahead. Hello everyone. Thank you. It is so fun to see you all in the chat. So excited that you are here. Thank you for joining, even a little bit last minute. Again, I apologize if you're just joining. I apologize for that little mishap on the scheduling side. You can always expect these live chats to be 11 a.m. Pacific time. So hello. We will get started. So today we are going to be doing our winter planning. So if you joined for our autumn planning, this will be very similar structure. I'm going to talk about how your weeks will line up to this year's calendar, give you all the context you need to know to effectively and confidently plan your season, so you'll know everything about holidays, any story continuity, and give you all the tools you'll need to plan your winter for your family. I'll kind of walk through as well how I will plan my winter so you can kind of hear my thought process and apply those same things to how you're going to plan your season. I hear a few people just listen to the Lantern Walks podcast. That one is released now, and yes, crying faces emojis are accurate for that one. It is so sweet. So before we dive into our winter planning, we have some updates, guys. We have the coziest collection coming here to the store in a few weeks. So I want to give you a new rundown of some products coming. So we have a full collection of the coziest Wondergarten mugs you have ever seen coming to the store. So we're doing another little product launch here on November 15th. So I want to give you a tour of what's coming because they're all super fun. Just in time for the holidays. We have a mug for every gnome, and they are just perfectly. They did such a great job. So these are made by Sunset Hill, really high quality lead-free stoneware. They're amazing. They're oven and dishwasher and microwave, everything safe. They're super sturdy and super cozy. So I want to give you a little tour of all of the things that we will have coming on the 15th. So of course we have our Wondergarten mug. This is, I believe, a 14 ounce. It is my personal favorite. It is so cozy and so beautiful. Then we have a mug for each gnome. So I'll start with little Petty Palm. This is a little 10 ounce. So this was designed with children in mind, because we know Petty Palm tends to be a favorite of the little ones. So this is a little 10 ounce Petty Palm mug. It's so cute, perfect for children, also still great for adults for a little cup of tea midday. So this one is so sweet. My boys already are fighting over this, so I might need to get a second one because they love it so much. Then we have Puddle Bloom. I believe this is a 16 ounce. So cozy, guys. Just look at this. It's just so nice. So we have Puddle Bloom here. And someone is saying, is the video off for anyone? I want to just make sure you can all hear me. Can everyone hear? Working for me? All right, so that might just be a personal thing. All right, so Puddle Bloom, this is a 16 ounce, ultra cozy. You can just picture him at Puddle Bloom's house for tea. Thumbkin, I believe this is a 14 ounce. The firing here is just so beautiful. It is just perfect for Thumbkin. They're all so unique and so special. And then we have Rudabug. This is a big 20 ounce. This is a great mug for dads or for a very tired homeschool mama who needs her caffeine. So this is an amazing, almost like a stein, it's wonderful. So for tea, for coffee, for kombucha, for anything else fermented you might want to put in here. It is a great mug for Rudabug. So they all just capture their personalities so perfectly within these little mugs. We've been enjoying these so much, and I think you will too. They are now our new favorite mugs. So we are so excited to launch those on the 15th. Also on the 15th, we have a few other very long-awaited things happening. We have CDs coming, guys. I know a lot of you have been waiting a long time for physical music. So finally, we have CDs coming as well on the store. Right now we're just starting with the 3 seasonal albums and the daily songs. Eventually we'll also get back around to the September and October, the monthly albums. But for now, these will get this music in your hands. All right, just want to also make sure, just a delay. Okay. Sounds like we're okay on the sound front for most of you. And then also on the 15th launching, finally, Storybooks, you guys. I only have a sample for the autumn, but we will be launching paperback storybooks for all 3 seasons. And I know everyone has been waiting to get these storybooks in their hands. So these are not fully illustrated. These are black and white, really simple, really easy to read. There's the QR codes for the songs in there, really, really sweet. These are just really just great to read. And instead of lugging around this whole book to get your stories, you'll now have it in a very convenient, it slips in your purse. Of course, this will be the first of many renditions of these stories. Of course, we anticipate fully illustrated, hardcover, all of those things, but we wanted to get you something as quickly and affordably as possible. So these sweet little black and white paperbacks you can get in your hands very soon. So all of those will be launching, should be launching the 15th of November unless there's any changes, as well as hopefully, we also should be launching our December silk that day as well, of course, if everything kind of gets resolved with the little Sarah Silk fiasco. So hopefully this should be launching as well. And on the topic of silks, I am still so sorry for the whole October silk fiasco. It has been such a weird thing, the silk saga, right? We were so excited to launch those. We believed that those were already in stock in the Sarah Silks warehouse when we launched those. And I guess they also thought they were in stock, and that has not been the case. And now they are hunting for our box of silks. So this week we should be hearing more about those and some next steps for the October and November silks. So if you ordered October, I am so sorry. Hopefully that should be shipping soon. You should have an opportunity to, once we know that those are located, the November silks will open up orders for that. So you can bundle that onto your October silk. So those will ship together. Or if you want, you can swap your October silk for a November silk. Or if you need to just cancel, that's totally fine too. It's been a weird thing for all of us. So thank you for your patience for all of that. But otherwise, all of these lovely fun things are coming, some nice physical media for you, which is really fun. So mark your calendars for that. We're very excited. These are just a perfect gift ahead of the holidays. They are so fun. You can collect them all or get your favorite. I'm sure the Petty Pom ones are going to be well loved for children. All right, so without further ado, I think we will start getting into our our winter planning session. All right, so let's open up those calendars, open up your planners. There's a lot to cover here. I'm gonna do my best to not completely ramble, but I wanna give you everything you need to plan a successful winter, because of course we have our 12 weeks of curriculum, we have 13 weeks of the season, and I want to tell you how to set this up for success so you can enjoy your season. So first of all, we're gonna open up and just look at this beautiful winter timeline to look at our season ahead. So 4 weeks for December, January, February. Each of these months kind of has a really special overarching theme that you'll really get a sense of, and they're really, really special. Now, December, of course, is kind of Christmas month. So I do want to give you all a good heads up that December will look and feel like Christmas. Now I know a lot of you will love this, but I do want to give a special shout out to any Jewish families. And I want to give you a proper heads up that this will look and feel like Christmas. Our story, of course, is still in that neutral space of Wondergarten. So there's not Jesus or Santa. They are gearing up to celebrate their own little festival of Winter's Day, which really will be the Solstice. So you can really lean into that. But I know a few Jewish families have still said, this feels a little too much like Christmas for us. So they skipped December and waited to get started in January and February. That's totally fine. But we've also heard from some families that they appreciated how it gave a new storyline to explain the things you're gonna see around that time of year anyways, because regardless of what you celebrate or don't celebrate, you'll see Christmas trees, you'll see gingerbread houses, you'll see all these things. So these storylines can kind of give a new neutral storyline for those things to explain them for your children if you still want to do those things. And of course, if you're a Christmas lover like me, the whole idea behind the December curriculum is to nicely weave in all of those things you're going to want to do with your children anyways and have it fit perfectly into your homeschool rhythm. So I just want to give that full heads up that this will look and feel like Christmas. It's like Christmas school or holiday school, festival school, solstice school, whatever you want to call it. But I know specifically our Jewish families that can kind of be just a unique thing for you. So I want to give you that heads up so you can make the decisions that will work best for you. But if you also are gearing up more for the solstice, it will align really, really well too, because they are celebrating Winter's Day and it's that another star turning. It really also beautifully honors the solstice, again, with lots of festive things as well. So I think it should work really well for a lot of families, but I just want to kind of give you all full disclosure of what you will find. The themes of our December curriculum: we have decorating, we have baking, we have giving. We have a beautiful week, giving week, where this is Hamilton's first time experiencing giving gifts and receiving gifts and what that really means. And so he's kind of taken alongside by the gnomes to begin to give his first gift. So it really captures the spirit of the season as far as giving. Giving week also does, I believe, align kind of close to the actual week of Hanukkah. And I know that some families who celebrate Hanukkah like to do a little gift for every week of the 8 days of Hanukkah. So that could align nicely if you want to do that. And then, of course, the winter festival is Winter's Day. It could be Christmas Day. It could be the solstice. It could just be a winter celebration, whatever you'd like it to be. So December, it's festive, it's holidays, it's a lot of fun. When we get to January, the kind of overarching theme here is wintry weather. So we have coziness, we have cold, we have ice, we have snow, but I also do want to make sure you all are confidently aware that this will be well enjoyed even if you do not live somewhere cold. That's one question we get a lot of. I don't live where it snows. Is this going to work? Yeah, so the way we frame these stories, even in the first week of January, you hear Puddleblum telling a story about when he met the Winter King. And so it's beautiful, it's imaginative, and all of the activities help you kind of get to honor and almost experience what that wintry weather would be like without having it to be happening outside your door. Because even here in the Pacific Northwest, we maybe get snow once a year. So it's not like we have tons of snow here either. But January is a very cozy month. It's a beautiful month to kind of celebrate and honor the Snow Queen, the Winter King, and all of that. Then we come to February, and February is like our love month. It is like friendship. So we wanted to kind of honor wanted to honor Valentine's Day, but in a way that made sense to children. So instead of this ultra romantic thing, we've taken that theme of love and woven it into all 4 stories of February in a way that makes sense to them. It is friendship, it is caring for our friends, and they are really precious stories and some precious, precious songs about everyone in Wondergarten caring for each other and really what the love of friendship looks like in action. So we have 3 really, really special months of the season. So I am going to now begin to open up our calendars and let you know kind of first what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of a 50,000-foot view of, if you want to just do this by the book, kind of where these weeks would align best, where we will align those weeks and kind of where they're designed to fit. Because I know some of you really like to just do from week 1 to week 12 without too much shuffling. Then I'm going to go a little deeper into each month and each part of the season where you might want to shuffle and give you all what you need to know if you do plan to shuffle. So if we open up our planners, December starts perfectly on a Monday. So our 4 weeks of December are going to start off with our decorating week. I would place decorating week right on December 1st, the week of December 1st. Then we follow with baking week, giving week, and our winter festival. Now, of course, whenever we do a festival day in our curriculum, we kind of culminate it to the 3rd day of that curriculum. So usually it's at the end of the month, and then day 3 is your festival day. So if you want that to align to Christmas, that will perfectly align with that last week, that 4th week of December, aligning to the 25th on that Thursday. If you want that to actually align to the solstice, that is on the 21st. So this is the same week, but it's a little earlier. So that's going to be up to you if you want to scooch your festivities earlier to align your festival day to that solstice day on the Sunday, or if you just want to use that week to just celebrate and honor the solstice, or if you want to have your winter's day to align to Christmas Day on the 25th. Now, in autumn, we had our 5 weeks was in October. You were kind of able to just put in a break week whenever you want. But I will say in winter, it's a little more designed in to be that last week between Christmas and New Year's. So between the 28th and the 3rd is where I would recommend putting that break. because it's a week that we're all just kind of on break, right? So that is something that you can, that I always take that week off and then begin January. I would begin January on the week of the 5th here. And then that aligns beautifully with week 1 being Cozy Week on the 5th of January, week 2, Ice Week, week 3, Snow Week, week 4, Game Week, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it kind of helps roll into the next month really nicely. If you were to do January week 1 up here, then you can kind of get a little ahead of the rest of the months. So I would suggest, if you want to kind of go by the book, that break is this last week between. And also our stories don't really tie in New Year's per se. You could also use the Winter Festival to be New Year's if you want to do a few other things for Hanukkah or do a few other things for the solstice and kind of use the Winter Festival as New Year's. You could also do that. Always lots of options to make it work with your own family. But that's kind of my standard recommendation for that break. And then we'll come over to February. February, again, aligns really nicely. Candle Week, starting on the week of the 1st and 2nd. Chocolate Week is kind of our Valentine's Week, which aligns right beautifully with the 14th of Valentine's Day. And then we have, ignore my notes here, that's that we'll have a break in our school. So Wellness Week would be this 3rd week, and Friendship Week would be this 4th week. And so that aligns really beautifully. So if you would like to go kind of by the book, December 1, 2, 3, 4, break. January 1 through 4, February 1 through 4, and all of those should align really nicely with the holidays and festivals that they were kind of designed to align. Now, for some continuity notes, and then we'll kind of start getting you a little more familiar with how the weeks align and what other shuffling things to be aware of. All right, any questions so far? I still have a lot to dive into, but just want to give it a little space for anyone who has any questions. All right, so continuity for stories. If you are just joining us for winter, I would recommend going ahead and listening through the audiobooks so you can kind of get introduced with all of our characters. It is so lovely. I'd recommend it regardless to listen to, but that is a great way to kind of see how Hamilton discovered Wondergarten. And of course, I would always recommend, if you are just opening this book for the first time, definitely read through the introduction section of your book, and it has the introduction to the Gnomes of Wondergarten from Hamilton's perspective. It's really lovely. So don't forget that introduction of your book. I know everyone gets excited to dive into your curriculum, but the introduction section is really helpful. And even if you did autumn, there's a few things in that introduction section that you will want to be aware of as well, as far as kind of storyline. I'm going to dive into that a little more in the December overview because it aligns more to the December curriculum and Winter's Day and kind of the background of that. But just a little reminder, as you're just beginning to open up your winter books, even if you have autumn, still flip through the beginning of that book to make sure you didn't miss anything. So a storyline. December does have, I would say, a little bit of an arcing continuity storyline between these 4 stories, because each week they were watching the gnomes begin to gear up for their celebration of Winter's Day. And that is their festival. And again, I'll touch more on this in the December overview, but in these introduction pages, you can actually read Nathaniel's little excerpt of the history in Wondergarten of the history of the first Winter's Day. It's essentially when they were given the gift of candlelight, Sister Flame. So December does have a bit of continuity. They're beginning to decorate, they're baking, and then we have them preparing their gifts for Winter's Day. So I would probably recommend keeping those a little bit continuous, but if you want to shuffle those within, I would stay still starting with Decorating Week and ending with the Winter Festival. But if you need to shuffle Giving Week and Baking Week is really, I almost called it Gingerbread Week because that's the week you're baking gingerbread houses, baking gingerbread men, and they have a little winter bake-off, and it's a lot of fun. So with December, that's kind of our arcing storyline. They're getting ready for Winter's Day. Now, another thing that I do think is really sweet that you can tie in, the whole world is celebrating in December, really. Of course, there's a cultural Christmas, but every culture has a different way of celebrating. There's different religions having different celebrations. So another thing you can kind of use depending on what you're celebrating in December is this is the Gnomes Festival in their little world. This is what's important to them, and what you see in the curriculum is how they are celebrating. So if you want to also kind of add on this element of what is everyone else celebrating? What is this religion celebrating? How does this country celebrate? So it's also a great way, because Wondergarten is its own little thing, kind of outside of our world. So the events of Christmas or St. Nicholas or all things wouldn't have happened in that little world. You can see how the gnomes are celebrating what's important to them, and Winter's Day, and what that means and how they're celebrating. So you can kind of add that in if you want to add that layer of looking at how different countries, different cultures, different people celebrate around the time of December. So you can add that in if you would like. Of course, if you are like us and love Christmas and are celebrating Christmas, it aligns really beautifully. And for Christian families, I'll touch on this a little bit more in the Advent and the December overview. There are ways you can also use this Winter's Day to kind of point to Christmas as well. So December, I think I've said enough. It is mostly Christmas, but it is also a really great way to show celebrations. It's festive. You're using, evergreens. It's fun. There's gingerbread houses. It's really lovely. So that's my recommendation for storyline continuity. It all builds up to Winter's Day. Now, one thing to note, that for the Winter Festival, for families who are celebrating Christmas, the Winter Festival week being Christmas week, you can also not do that week because if you are gearing up to celebrate Christmas, that is a lot going on. And if you want to just use that week off to prepare, don't pressure yourself to doing homeschool that week. We've never done school that week, so all of these things are really just suggestions if you still want to maintain rhythm that week. But it's a unique week of the year, and December also is just a unique month of the year. I don't think anyone can argue that. It is a really unique month, and there's a lot going on. So again, all the things I wrote in here as suggestions of things you might want to do anyways, but give yourself a lot of flexibility over the holiday season in general, and especially that last week, as that is aligning to Christmas week. If you don't want to be doing all of those things, if you want to take a break, give yourself the option to do that. The one thing that I will put on your radar, my favorite part of that week, is the cinnamon roll recipe. That is my Christmas morning cinnamon roll recipe that I've used in my home for years. So if you want to take that to use for Christmas morning or solstice morning or any other special mornings, I would definitely put that on your radar if you want to do a little bit less that week, but still that one is worth checking out. So it is a really yummy one. All right, so December, I think, is a wrap. Any questions regarding how to plan your December or anything about making that work for your family, whether you're, actually, two more things. Excuse me. I see in my notes here, two things to keep in mind, actually, for Advent and for Solstice. All right. So if you are someone who's going to be doing Advent, I am going to be diving into our Advent overview in a few weeks, but I want to just put this on your radar. There's a few different ways to celebrate Advent. There's the traditional Christian way and the traditional Waldorf way, which uses the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas as you light those 4 candles leading up to Christmas. And there's also kind of the new Waldorf-y Advent spiral where you count down the candles for each of the 24 days leading up to Christmas. Heads up that the traditional 4 weeks leading up, that starts November 30th. All right, so I always say we have all of December to plan for Christmas, but Advent sneaks up. So that's why I'm doing that Advent overview in a few weeks. I will cover Christian Advent, I will cover Waldorf-y Advent, and all of those things. But if you're planning to do the 4 candles leading up to Christmas, that starts before December 1st. And that first week, decorating week, you do have a chance to create an Advent wreath or an Advent spiral. So if you want to do that maybe a little ahead of time to make that wreath in time to light that first candle on that Sunday the 30th, keep that in mind, or you can do it that week and just carry on your merry way. But just a little heads up for my Advent families that kind of sneaks into the Thanksgiving weekend with just the way the calendars align. And for my solstice families, I think the 20th or the 22nd, that is something that, again, if you want that winter's festival, Winter's Day to align more closely to the solstice, there might be a little shuffle there because that's happening the weekend after week 3. So take that as you will, shuffle as you want, however you want to do it. And again, if you want to shuffle that forward for the solstice or back later for New Year's Day, you can do either one. So I think those are my last notes. Heads up on creeping of Advent into November, and heads up for Solstice families if you want that winter festival a little bit earlier or a little bit later for New Year's, either one. And a note for decorating week for my Jewish families as well, that candle activity, you can also use that to make a menorah. You could also just make it to use a candle holder that can be an Advent wreath, an Advent spiral, a menorah, a decoration, anything. It's really just a salt dough candle holder. You can do whatever you want with it. So keep that in mind for your planning. All right, so there we have December. Now, January, in general, December has a lot going on. So you'll see that, so I'll dive into that more in my December overview, but it's packed full of lots of fun things because that's the month of December, right? January, you will notice, it's more of a calm month. It's a cozy month. So if we're beginning, we have Cozy Week, Ice Week, Snow Week, and Game Week. There is still a little continuity in the stories of January because you're hearing about the Winter King, and then the next week he's really arrived and it's icy. Then you're hearing about the Snow Queen and she's arrived and there's a ton of snow, and then the next week they're kind of snowed in. So if you want to keep those as in order, it will make the most sense. But of course, I do think every story is still fairly shuffleable if you need to. However, in January, there's not as much going on, so I wouldn't say there's as much need to align anything to a specific holiday, because January, you kick off with New Year's, but then you can just kind of go through the rest of your month. So we have ice, we have snow, we have cozy, we have game week for when you're bored inside a cozy home. And like I said, even if you do not have cold weather, the way the stories are written, you get to think about them and dream about, the Snow Queen and the Winter King, and it's a lot of fun. So then coming into February, we have a little more holiday alignment happening again. We actually have 2 little festivals and 2 celebrations in February, and one consideration if you want to slightly shuffle a January week with February. All right, so we kick off February with Candle Week. Now this, if you're familiar with Waldorf-y or even kind of Christian Catholic, Candlemas is what we're celebrating and honoring that week, and that is a star turning week. That's the halfway point. You're through the darkest 11 weeks of the year, I think, so it is we're halfway through, and the story is very much, Rudabug is having a hard time because his garden is asleep, and we kick off this week with really seeing how Thumbkin really cares for his friend in the dead of winter. And then, it's a reminder that we're halfway through, we're almost, spring is on its way, and so this also aligns with Groundhog's Day. So that's kind of a more cultural, more modern cultural way to kind of celebrate this halfway point. So you have Candlemas and you have Groundhog's Day. If you want, again, that third day of the curriculum is going to align with that celebration. If you want that to align on February 2nd, you could end up wanting to shuffle the last week of January with the first week of February, because if you start the first week of February on the 2nd, you won't really be celebrating that until more like the 4th or 5th, or however you go into your week. So if you want that to be on the 2nd, you could do that the week ahead so that you're ready. Or if you're like us, we tend to just use that week to celebrate and focus less on the exact day and just honor the week. So up to you, but in case you want to celebrate on February 2nd, you may want your candle week to be a little bit earlier, which means you might want to do a little swap with the last week of January so you can get ahead of Candle Week and have your candles ready for that little festival. Otherwise, if you want to just honor the first week of February being that halfway point, you can leave it as is. Now, Chocolate Week, I probably would recommend keeping where it is in the second week of February, because that is our Valentine's week. Instead of really leaning into Valentine's, we kind of focused on what you do around Valentine's Day, and again, in a way that makes a little more sense to children. So we have strung hearts, we have chocolate, and it is a really fun story. In the story, it's actually Puddle Bloom's birthday, so they're celebrating him, and it's really sweet, and you are making chocolate. It's a really fun week, and that, of course, will align with all of the Valentine's things you want to do that week. You have a chance to make little chocolate boxes, which are a perfect way to give a Valentine. So that week aligns really well, and of course, Valentine's being at the end of that week doesn't cause for much need to shuffle. And then our last 2 weeks of February, we have Wellness Week and Friendship Week. Wellness Week, all the gnomes get sick, because of course it's winter and that's what happens. And if you're anything like us, we've all been battling sickness. So it's a great way to have a story about what happens when you all get sick, and all of the gnomes and Hamilton caring for Thumbkin when he's sick, and the remedies that Puddleblum uses. So it's a very relatable story, which I think is great to have to pull on for children to be able to model what it looks like to care for someone when they're not well. And then the very next week we end with Friendship Week, and it's also, you know, it ends with one of my favorite songs of winter, The Sun is Shining, is we're almost to spring. We're looking ahead. You know, the sun is starting to shine again. The snow is melting. We're almost to spring, and it's a really beautiful celebration of friendship between the gnomes. Rudabug comes along, Petty Palm, and you'll have to wait and see and read that story, but it is just really lovely. So February is a really precious month of caring for friends and love. And there we have it. It's my daughter. Someone said my daughter's birthday is in February, and she'll be so thrilled to share it with Puddleblum. That is very sweet. And what's fun about that chocolate week is the happy birthday song is actually integrated into that story, which is fun that that gets a little shout out. All right. So when do we make sun bread? Sun bread is in Candle Week. So that is when you're in the halfway point. So you're awaiting the return of the sun. So that is when we do sun bread. That is our kind of festival bread. So you'll see we often, you do a festival bread at these festivals. So that's when we do the festival bread in the shape of a sun. So of course, if you want to add on the sun bread book that week as well. But that February week to Candle Week is when you do your beautiful festival bread in the shape of the sun to remind us all that the sun will return. It's not gone forever. So alrighty, so I think I maybe talked too quick because we're only half an hour in. We covered a lot of things. So I want to allow you all some time to digest that and see if there's anything else you really want me to cover as far as how you might want to shuffle these, how you might want to make these work in your home. But otherwise, I think we have a lot of fun things to either go straight from front to back or some opportunities for shuffling based on what holidays you celebrate. Otherwise, then maybe I can, maybe we'll wrap up early. All right, any questions here? I do see a few friends typing, so I'm going to take a little sip and then. Will the winter curriculum have a Black Friday deal? There will be Black Friday deals for everything. We're still finalizing details on Black Friday, but yes, you can definitely expect a Black Friday sale. That is going to be a great chance to snag your winter curriculum and anything Christmas related for gifts or any supplies or silks you want to gift. So yes, definitely look out for Black Friday deals. I do believe we'll have kind of a first however many orders, we'll get a few, maybe a few free stickers, a few free fun things. So keep an eye out for Black Friday deals. We're still finalizing those details over the next few weeks, but those will definitely be coming, and definitely a great time to snag your winter books. All right. I was sure I was going to be talking for much longer than this, but if we've covered everything, if you all feel nice and confident for your winter, then I might just let you all enjoy the rest of your Monday. Reminders of our audiobook. I know a lot of you are enjoying that, but if you have not listened, definitely go listen. Nathaniel is doing something very special over there. It is very, very magical. I'm on it today. Thank you. Take a 30-minute tea break with your mug, says Claire. Thank you. I just might. So reminder, all of these beautiful mugs and things will be launching the 15th, along with storybooks and CDs. Keep an eye out for details on Sarah Silks as well. Do I have any Yodo updates? Yes, so Yodo updates. We've started the creator process. We submitted for our first 3 cards, the 3 seasonal card albums. Those are being made. So then we're waiting. So once they tell us that those cards are made, then we will have an update for you as far as when those will be on the store. When those do launch, they will be available on the US Yodo store and our own store. So that's all I know for now. They're in the works. So they are officially in the works. They are being made, but the timeline on those was longer than we expected. We had hoped that we would already have them in or be able to add them to an upcoming launch, but TBD on those. They're in the works, and we'll eventually add more to Yodo. But Yodo was a more expensive and longer process than we expected. So just keep an eye out for that. Can we see the winter silk again? Yes, so December, this again should be, if everything is accounted for, this beautiful December silk should be launching November 15th as well. It is a really, really beautiful one. And if you haven't gotten your winter book, I will just give a little preview of the art that you'll get to see. We'll do a little top-down shot here. So your winter book opens up with your December, the same beautiful thing here, and then ends with February, which I think is so beautiful. So that's some of the art you can look forward to in your winter book. If you have not already gotten it, features Puddle Bloom, which of course also matches Puddle Bloom. I think it's just so fun. So lots of fun things. Alrighty. I thought was efficient. I hope this was everything you needed. Of course, definitely tune into each of the monthly overviews. Next up is the December overview. I'm going to do a much deeper dive into the December curriculum, walk you through each week, walk you through a little bit more about Winter's Day and how to pull that different ways depending on what you celebrate. And then that same day, later in the afternoon, I'll be doing the Advent overview, which will kind of give you a lowdown on what you can do to help prepare a very intentional Advent season. If you want to do a Christian Advent, if you want to do a Waldorf-y Advent, if you're completely new to Advent and would love to know a little more, definitely tune into that. So glad these are helpful. Thank you for acknowledging the effort that goes into these. We'll have, obviously, keep an eye out for updates for lots of things. We always have lots of things coming down the line for you all. But otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks for the December overview. I cannot wait to dive further into December. There's a lot of beautiful things, a lot of beautiful storylines in that as well. All right. Thank you, friends, for joining. Again, I'm so sorry for the little mix-up of timing. So thank you for all. Thank you to all who are able to still attend live, and really appreciate it. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much, and we'll hope to see you very soon. Bye, friends.